Heyo. So I am currently in Vermont doing a house sit for Trusted House Sitters, and I got my hooks and needles subscription box right before I came up here, and so I brought it with me to work on while I'm here. This is my very first one, so I'm going to be doing a little bit of a review of it and just kind of go over what's in it, all of that stuff. So, okay, quick location change because it's really nice outside and I wanted to sit outside. We're gonna go over what is inside the Hooks and Needles subscription box. So, we'll start out, right, I'll show you the inside cover. It says, your yarnful dreams begin here. And it's honestly a beautiful packaging design. So the very first thing on the top is your patterns and guide. This shows you everything that is in here. It also has the Sailor's Knot headband, which is your beginner pattern for this box. It has the Rabbit Lovey, which is your intermediate pattern for this box. And then finally, the wooden storage basket, which is your advanced pattern for this box. Now, there is not enough yarn to do all three. You have to choose one. Maybe the beginner and intermediate you can do with the yarn. I don't know. I'm gonna try doing the intermediate, the Rabbit Lovey, and see how much yarn is left over at the end. But we'll continue going through the box for now. The next thing I see in here is this little wooden container. This holds some capped darning needles for your yarn. They do put it cap side up, pointy side up, so maybe try not to lose the caps, or if you do, make sure you face them down so you're not poking yourself. Okay, next out of the box, you have this adorable pair of scissors. This is, I believe, a swan. It's some bird. I can look, actually. Okay, so the monthly gift is actually these scissors, and it is a swan-shaped pair of scissors. Next, we have a US size H8 5mm crochet hook. I did get this package delivered to me when it was over 100 degrees outside, and so my hook did start melting a little bit, so it's a little misshapen. But that's okay, it's still gonna work perfectly fine. The plastic itself is just very squishy now, which could be a good thing. We'll find out. And then we have some stuffing for the rabbit. And last but certainly not least, we have 3 balls of yarn. They're all made in Portugal. This is merino wool. They are a 4-weight medium yarn, 50 grams, and they are 92.5 yards each. So you get 3 of these. They have these color specks in them that are really nice. The wool itself is very soft, which is not always the case with wool. They do only have a recommended knitting needle size on them. However, we were sent a 5mm crochet hook, so we can then assume that we're using a 5mm hook for all the different projects. And that is all that is in the box currently. I'm going to be making the Rabbit Lovey, which is the intermediate pattern. And then I will check back in as I make it, talk about kind of how I like the yarn, the ease of instructions, different things like that, as someone who has been crocheting for a couple of years now. And then if there's yarn left over at the end, I might try making the Sailor's Knot headband. I don't know if there's going to be yarn or not, because realistically, it says the pattern uses 50 grams of color 1 and 50 grams of color 19. I don't know which one's which because they're not labeled, but one of each. So, join me as I continue making a rabbit. Okay, so a couple quick things to note. This box did not come with a stitch marker, so I'm going to have to go get my own, because otherwise I will not be able to keep track of rounds. Just from making my very first round, the wool itself is really nice to work with. It could potentially split, but it hasn't yet. It's a little bit fuzzy, so if you're not used to working with yarn that's fuzzy, that's another thing to keep in mind. But so far so good. I'm just gonna go grab a stitch marker because I personally will lose count and mess up if I don't have a stitch marker. Okay, update back inside, because the neighbors here apparently have chickens and they're very loud and I can't film with just like clucking in the background. So I finished the head. It is adorable. It's worked up pretty quick. The yarn did split a little bit on some rounds, which, two things to note. One, like I said before, it didn't come with a stitch marker, so I had to grab my own. And two, the needles that they include in this kit are extremely sharp, which is perfect for working through yarn, but also perfect for poking yourself on accident. So just make sure that you're really careful if you're using these needles, because they are, I don't know how well you can see it, but they are very sharp. But the needles work well, the hook works well, the yarn is soft, the scissors also work well. It says to embroider the face on now, so I guess I'm gonna do that. And then we'll start working on the next step, which is the ears and arms. So I'll check back in after that. Also, there's possible thunderstorms this afternoon, so the rest of this video is probably going to be indoors. Hey y'all, so it is now about 1:30 in the afternoon. I've been working on this project for like 4 hours, but it is done. Here is the little bunny lovey. I don't know if I did the ears right. I followed the pattern, but in the picture the ears are pointed. My ears are not pointed. So, I don't know. I still think it's cute, but yeah. Hey y'all. So it is officially 1:30 in the afternoon now. It's been about 4 hours and I did some work, did some homework, and ate some lunch in the meantime. So overall this project probably took me about 3 hours ish, start to finish. But I officially finished the bunny lovey from the Hooks and Needles box. The ears are absolutely adorable in my opinion, but they don't look at all like the picture on the box. I didn't watch the video tutorials that came with it. Maybe I should have. I just read the pattern and the pattern did not call for like a picot stitch or anything that would make them pointy, so I'm not exactly sure why it's different, but they still look very cute. Also, the pattern itself says that it uses about 50 grams of each, but I still have like probably about half to a third left of the gray and about the same amount of the blue. So I'm not sure if I have tighter tension or what it could be, or if they're just saying the balls themselves are 50 grams and you're going to be using those in the pattern. There's a couple things in the pattern that I didn't exactly love. They were a little bit confusing if you have never read a pattern before or if you are a beginner trying an intermediate thing. There's a couple of times where it said like 3 single crochets in the next 3 stitches. That meant 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches, but it was written 3 SC in the next 3. So like math wise, it wouldn't have worked if I did 3 single crochets in those 9 stitches, but just wanted to like point that out as well. Otherwise, the patterns themselves are great. I think next I'm going to try the headband, and that one's kind of just going to be like a leisurely thing that I do, so I'll include it in the video after. I'll come back and I'll talk about it, and because I still have another ball and a half of the blue and half of the gray, so I'm gonna see how much I can make with the yarn that was given to me in this box using only the materials plus my stitch marker that came in this box as well, just so I can give it a fair review. Hey y'all, so quick update. I know that I said that I was going to try the beginner pattern, the headband pattern, but with the amount of yarn I had left, I decided I wanted to see if I could make the advanced pattern, the basket. Sorry about that. And so I got started. I am on row 15 technically, however, there's a typo in the instructions here. You can see that it says row 12 and then it goes back to row 11, row 12, row 13. This is actually row 15. This is the row that I'm on right now, the first double crochet row. So I did just go on to YouTube to the video tutorials for this, and I'm watching that just to make sure that my row number is correct going forward. Just something to note with this pattern specifically. But I was able to finish the entire bottom with what was left of the blue that I had from the Lovey. And I still have the entire other one, so we'll see if I can make this at full height with what's left. And then I do still have the gray, so we'll see. I'll check back in when I finish making this basket. So I was correct. There was definitely not enough yarn to finish this pattern. I actually don't even have enough yarn to finish the first one. So I was able to do row 1 of the first strip with this much yarn left. This is not going to finish even half of a row 2, so I'm not going to try, because I might be able to make something else with this amount of yarn left, and I don't want to waste more time doing that. I might still try the pattern with a different yarn when I get home and have more yarn again, because it seems like a really cool and really fun fall pattern for a headband. I don't personally wear headbands, but I know a lot of people do, and so it's an option that I'm going to be exploring. But in the end, I was able to completely make the bunny, who is absolutely adorable. This yarn itself, the wool is pretty soft, so it's not scratchy at all. I think a baby will really like it. There's no safety eyes for them to choke on, so definitely a good pattern for a baby, and I believe it can be found online for free. But I will put links in the description if I can find them. And then I was able to finish the little basket minus 1 row. So in the end, I was able to do the intermediate and advanced patterns, and I started the beginner pattern, but I just unfortunately didn't have enough yarn for that, which is perfectly okay because this kit is actually designed for you to make 1 project originally. I decided to see how many I could make with the yarn provided, and for me that was 2. I think if you did like the headband and the bunny, you wouldn't be able to do the basket. If you did the basket and the headband, you would not be able to do the bunny. The headband definitely takes 50 grams, like it says, unlike what the bunny did. The bunny probably took like maybe 25, 30 at most grams of each color. So in the end, I had quite a bit of leftover yarn and I was able to make a basket. Definitely recommend this subscription box for anyone that's into crocheting or knitting. They do have a knitting one as well. They have this box specifically is for learning how to crochet. It comes with almost everything you need. The only thing I personally needed was a stitch marker, which you can get super cheap at literally anywhere, or you can use your own. You can use scrap yarn as a stitch marker, you can use safety pins, you could use hair bobby pins, that's what they're called. Pretty much anything you can use as a stitch marker as long as it's not going to fall out while you're working on it. Then you might lose your stitch. I definitely recommend the subscription box. Once again, this is the Hooks and Needles subscription box. It came with a crochet hook, a 5mm hook. It came with some scissors, 3 of these yarn needles in a little wooden container to hold them all in, and 3 full 50-gram balls of yarn, as well as the patterns to make different projects every month. So leave a comment down below if you also get this subscription. Tell me which one you decided to make for your beginner box, your first box, and let me know if you want to see another video when my next box gets here soon. I think next week or the week after it should be getting here. But let me know if you have any interest in that at all, and I can definitely make another video all about the projects in that box, a review of the yarn, because the yarn is different in every box, the patterns are different in every box, and the materials inside the box themselves are different. So this time I got scissors, a hook, and needles. I don't know what I'm gonna get next time, so stay tuned. And again, leave a comment down below, like this video, and subscribe if you want to see more. And follow me on Instagram and TikTok for more videos. I post more regularly there than I do on YouTube currently. I just don't have the time capacity to continuously post on YouTube yet. I am working on getting better at that. As my following grows, it'll probably help motivate me to find the time to do that. But right now, it takes a lot of time and effort for me to try to learn how to edit, which is why my videos are not the best, because I'm still learning how to edit and everything. So definitely stay tuned, leave a comment down below with any suggestions you have, and I look forward to seeing you again.